The initial scene depicts Joanna Eberhardt, a reality television executive producer, presenting the latest reality show during a conference. The show features a couple reuniting after separate tropical vacations to test their marriage. Despite the husband's loyalty, his wife chooses to leave him for other partners, leaving him heartbroken. In a moment of rage, the husband, Hank, attempts to shoot Joanna but is apprehended by security guards. Joanna returns to her office, seemingly unfazed, only to learn that Hank also killed his wife and her new partners before the conference. As a consequence, Joanna loses her job due to the network's disassociation with her programs. Despite maintaining composure, she experiences a mental breakdown, leading to hospitalization. Walter, Joanna's husband and a junior executive at the same TV company, resigns in protest and suggests they start anew elsewhere. The family relocates to Stepford, Connecticut, where they are greeted by a realtor named Claire Wellington and introduced to a technologically advanced house offering security, supplies management, and health monitoring. The following morning, Claire comes to pick Joanna for a tour around the suburb. She eventually drives her to Stepford Day Spa, where all the female residents meet and spend a relaxing time. Once there, Claire introduces Joanna to the rest of the residents, who are wearing sundresses. Following this, Claire gathers the women for a workout. Joanna is perplexed, wondering how they can work out in such a dress. In response, the realtor tells her that they should look beautiful 24/7 in front of their husbands. The women start their exercise, but Joanna opts not to participate. Meanwhile, Walter drives to the Stepford Men's Association, where he is welcomed by other male residents. The scene then cuts to the town's picnic day, where Walter and Joanna arrive with their kids. They are soon greeted by a group of women who offer flattering remarks about Walter. Amidst their conversation, Joanna spots a famous Jewish writer, Bobby Markowitz, and her husband Dave. Excited, she quickly goes to talk to them. Not long after, Joanna sees another familiar face, a renowned gay architect, Roger Bannister, and his partner Jerry Harmon, a corporate lawyer. Just then, Claire gathers all the couples for square dancing. Joanna is a bit hesitant at first, but she eventually gives in and enjoys the event. During this joyful moment, a woman named Sarah spins uncontrollably until she abruptly collapses to the ground. Seeing this, Joanna walks forward to help the woman, while the others simply watch dumbfoundedly. Soon after, Claire's husband, Mike Wellington, shows up and asks Joanna to back off. He orders the men to assist Sarah out and into his vehicle, ignoring Joanna's insistence that she needs to be taken to the hospital. Later that night, Joanna continues to argue about the same incident, despite Walter receiving news from Sarah's husband that she's fine. Furthermore, she raises her other suspicions against Mike and the townspeople, but Walter has had enough. Tired of her snide attitude and obsession with control, he threatens to divorce her. This moves Joanna, so she immediately apologizes and admits her faults. Following this, the couple reminisces of their happy old times, eventually rekindling their bond. They finally agree to embrace Stepford's life and live happily. The next morning, Bobby and Roger come to Joanna's place, but they are not in the favor of adopting Stepford's life. As they talk about the other women, Joanna suggests that they pay a visit to Sarah to check if she's okay. Upon arrival, they knock on the door, but receive no answer. Finding the door open, they make their way inside, only to hear Sarah's loud moans and piercing shrieks of pleasure. A short while later, Sarah walks out of the room, prompting the trio to hide behind the walls. As they scramble to sneak out, Roger finds a remote labeled Sarah. He curiously presses its button, not noticing Sarah pausing abruptly and making her walk backwards. The trio then flees the scene and ends up at Bobby's house, which is completely messed up. She claims that she was too busy writing a book that she didn't have time to clean. They then start conversing about their personal lives, with Roger sharing about his unstable relationship with Jerry. Joanna and Bobby also relate to his story, and they all admit to have moved to Stepford in order to fix their relationship problems. On the other hand, the men are at the Men's Association Club, enjoying their time playing with remote-controlled toy cars. After the game, they sit around and converse, with Walter sharing his thoughts on life in Stepford. He also tells them about how his wife agreed to embrace Stepford's life and live peacefully. However, the other men don't seem to be convinced by his point of view. Mike brushes off the topic and reminds a fellow resident, Ted, that he owes him some money for winning the game earlier. Ted then summons his wife and inserts an ATM card in her mouth, withdrawing some cash from her. This leaves Walter in a shock, but he chooses not to react. Here, it's revealed that the lovely Stepford wives are none other than advanced robots. One evening, Joanna is preparing dozens of cupcakes for her daughter's day camp. Sometime later, Bobby and Dave arrive there, but the latter quickly leaves with Walter for the men's association. This raises suspicion in Bobby's mind, so she suggests Joanna that they follow their husbands. Meanwhile, at the men's association, Jerry seems to have brought Roger, who makes sarcastic remarks about the place. Mike downplays his comments, assuring them that they welcome their relationship. Bobby and Joanna arrive at the men's association, but they find all the curtains closed. As a result, they sneak inside through a window, inadvertently making a noise in the process. Once inside, they turn on the lights to discover a hall filled with family portraits. But before they can react, they hear footsteps approaching, so they hurriedly turn off the lights and hide. To their relief, it's Roger, who allows them to escape before the other men spot them. Roger is then directed to one of the rooms where he witnesses something that leaves him visibly worried. 2 days later, Bobby and Joanna search for Roger because he hasn't contacted them since the night at the men's association. They knock on his house door, but receive no response. Shortly after, the duo discover Roger's favorite clothing and collections discarded in the trash can. In the next scene, Joanna and Bobby attend an event in the town hall where they're shocked to see Roger, now with a bland look and conformist personality. They're even more astonished when they learn that he's running for Connecticut State Senate under Jerry's direction. As the crowd cheers for Roger, Joanna and Bobby feel something is wrong in Stepford. Concerned about the family and kids, Joanna insists on leaving the suburb right away, citing its abnormality. When Walter refuses, she threatens to leave with their children. Left with no other choice, Walter agrees and promises that they'll leave the next day. Later at midnight, Joanna is awakened by a robot dog of the house that hands her a remote with her name labeled on it. Scared, she instantly proceeds to research the other women in Stepford, only to discover a shocking revelation. They were all once working women in high-power positions, just like herself. Shortly after, Walter wakes up and asks what she's doing, to which she pretends to be studying an apple pie recipe. Armed with this revelation, Joanna heads to Bobby's house the very next morning. She is taken aback to see her formerly messy house now turned into a spotless one. Moments later, Bobby, who has also blended in with Stepford wives, shows up and welcomes her. Joanna tries to explain to her about the newfound revelation, but the latter only focuses on cleaning the place. This freaks Joanna out, and she wonders what Stepford has done to her, as she's not herself anymore. Bobby says she is a whole new person, and the most important thing is her cookbook. She also advises Joanna to change in the same way. Amidst their conversation, Bobby inadvertently rests her hand on a burning stove, but she doesn't even flinch. This unusual sight sets Joanna in a panic, prompting her to run away from there. She soon arrives home, but finds no one there. Speculating that the kids are with Walter, she immediately drives to the men's association. As soon as she enters the building, she notices a portrait of her family with her replaced by a blonde version. She then walks into the main hall where she is surrounded by all the neighborhood husbands. Soon after, Walter walks out and he starts lamenting on how he always feels emasculated by her. All the husbands support him, as they also feel the same way. Hearing this, Joanna accuses them of killing their wives over their selfish jealousies, but Mike corrects her that they're merely perfecting them. Following this, Mike presents an explanation video regarding the female improvement system. Turns out that they insert nanochips into their wives' brains and mold them to their husbands' ideal women. Upon watching this, Joanna asks Walter if he really wants her as his slave, and also wonders if the nano-chipped wives can truly love their husbands. This leaves Walter speechless, but Mike brushes off the topic and presents them with a prototype robotic body for Joanna's replacement. Hoping to change her husband's mind, Joanna kisses him, reminding him of their love. Regardless, Walter walks forward to the transformation chamber. Feeling defeated, Joanna tearfully decides to accept her fate and joins her husband before undergoing the transformation process. The scene then cuts to a supermarket, where all the Stepford wives are seen shopping for groceries. Joanna is also among them, now with long blonde hair and dressed in classy Sunday attire. One evening, the Wellingtons host a formal ball with Walter and Joanna as special guests. After some romantic introductions, all of the attendees start dancing, enjoying the moment. Amidst the festivities, Joanna changes her partner and begins to dance with Mike, while Walter takes Claire for a drink. But just then, Walter disappears from the crowd and sneaks into the transformation chamber in the basement. He soon comes across a computerized system that has numerous buttons in it. While Joanna distracts Mike in her conversation, Walter presses all of the buttons repeatedly, destroying every nanochip fitted in the women's brains. Gradually, all the nanochipped wives, including Bobby and Roger, revert back to their original form, after which they start confronting their partners. Seeing this, Claire freaks out and rushes to inform Mike, who is in the garden with Joanna. Sensing the urgency of the situation, Mike instructs the husbands to use their remote, but they seem useless now. A few moments later, Walter and Joanna walk into the ballroom and reveal that they never went through the nanochip implant. Walter asserts that he doesn't want to treat his wife as an experimental subject. This revelation infuriates Mike, and he moves to attack Walter. But Joanna decapitates him with a candlestick, exposing him as a fully animatronic robot. Claire is distraught to witness this and starts crying over her loss. Joanna wonders why she orchestrated all of this, to which Claire replies that she wanted to create a perfect community. She further admits that she, too, was a bitter, career-minded woman like Joanna before Stepford. One day, she discovered her husband's affair with her research assistant. In a fit of rage, she murdered them and then used her skills as a brain surgeon to develop the Stepford Wives program. After disclosing everything, Claire kisses Mike's severed robotic head out of love, which causes her to get electrocuted to death. The scene then cuts to 6 months later, where Joanna, Bobby, and Roger are attending a television interview. During this, they discuss their achievements. Joanna has won 6 Emmys for producing the hard-hitting documentary on Stepford. Roger has won his state senate seat as an independent, and Bobby has published a best-selling poetry book. Apart from all this, their relationships have taken a positive turn, as they embrace imperfection. In the final scene, we see the Stepford husbands, who are now under house arrest for their crimes and being retrained to become better human beings. The movie ends with the husbands shopping for groceries, under the strict oversight of their wives.